call it Erosion. We call it after Eros Atticus, who was someone who had, Eros Atticus was actually a Greek that had Roman citizenship, and when his wife Regilla passed away, he started contributing to the construction of a number of buildings all around Greece. So this was actually built by Eros Atticus, and originally it had a roof. Then during the course of this long history it was neglected, and they did the renovation. We're looking at the restoration of that. The restoration was realized in the 1960s, so we use it. It's one of the best and largest spaces available for the summer festival. Every summer we have so much happening here. I mean, singing, dancing, theater, everything, okay? So the seats are made of marble, and the capacity is 5,000 people. They put cushions because it's not possible to sit on the marble for more than
that's where Yanni
for 2 years. That's where Yanni played. Yanni on the Acropolis was here, absolutely. Pavarotti used to come, and a number of famous artists. And let me tell you that this is the first time I see something happening for this year. It's the beginning of the festival. I think they're filming like a musical or something. It's a film.
And they got lights up there too.
Yeah. That's where I said Yanni played here.
Yeah. Oop.
It's like a park now. We have a set it around it, which is not yet. Down there, by the way, you can actually see the spot.
I'm talking about people willing to vote. I'm talking about democracy already, because that's what the Acropolis is all about. It's about the political system that we still enjoy and appreciate. Now, I'd like you to see also the building with the dark dome that is the National Observatory. And then can you see a temple down there in ruins? There is a temple down there that is part of the same building program in the Acropolis of Athens. There is a temple actually that is part of the so-called Agora. Agora is a multi-created marketplace. Listen to anyone who has something important to say. So simply, έφυγα. This is the one of the road down there is the home of the people. This is the Trojan.
Whoops.
Sono biting.
Kind of feel that, David. No, okay. Have a head start.
Do you know what Nike means? Shoes. It's the temple of Nike up there. Look at me. Okay, over there.
Oh. Have to look at my feet.
Πώς μείναμε εδώ πίσω εμείς?
Πίσω είμαστε,
Δεν είμαστε πολύ πίσω. Είμαστε στο γκρουπ το άλλο. Στο ξενοδοχείο.
Oh,
Keep walking, but as long as I'm waiting for you, I get a little bit further up, so don't worry. Because of the monument.
Εγώ κάθισα εδώ για να σας το μαζέψω. Έτσι να χαθούμε.
The shade or no? Shade. You know, my concern is that yes, we may use the shade, but it's just dangerous to walk on this surface. So what's your step? And I'm going into the shade, yes. Excellent. Since there is a little bit of shade here, why not? Look for the sign and watch your steps. Try to find the, get close to me. That's a shortcut here. Hello, hello, this way. Let's gather together. I think I'm not sure actually. Can we gather together to see if I have everybody?
count all.
Please, no, I'm not counting. I can tell.
Hi.
Careful, watch your steps. Yeah, I think I see everybody and I can see David. Thank you, David. Thank you for coming. A couple of people are still behind with David. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. Welcome. Welcome to the Acropolis. You made it. How does that feel? It's a busy day, but it's not bad, believe me. It's nice. So it's a nice day and a nice view and a lovely, I can see the blue of the sea in the distance. I can see the mountains. You see Athens. Look at Athens. Athens is, it's actually situated within a semicircular strip surrounded by mountains at the innermost part of the bay. So it's a limited space available, and now there's no more space, as you see. And I guess there is this rule: no building higher than the Acropolis, and that's why there are no high rises, and that's why it's so dense built. We kept building there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the building since we are, or say again and make it very clear that the Acropolis is this. We step on the Acropolis, okay? And that on the Acropolis we have 4 buildings. One is the gate, the other was the Temple of Nike, and then you're looking at the Parthenon and you're looking at the Erechtheion. And they look like 4 isolated buildings, but you have to take into consideration that this was kind of different. There were many other buildings around here with the cult of other divinities and the use, religious use always, in its heydays I mean. And then one more thing is that it was colorful. There were colors on it. This was a colorful world. I think that makes a difference. At least I was disappointed when I realized that. I thought it was a white, gleaming marble world. So I'm telling you that to visualize, and I promise we'll see a lot in the museum because the New Acropolis Museum studied the colors. Now, I have to take it from the very beginning and let you know that the Acropolis was inhabited for the first time 7,000 years ago when early Stone Age people built the crude dwellings up here. Because they felt safe, they could control the only way up and feel safe, the west side. There was space available and there was a spring, so there was actually continuous supply of water. That's a good start, isn't it?
Very.
Now, there must have been a palace of a king. Do you remember Agamemnon in Mycenae? So, not one of the foremost, but the Mycenaean center was also in the Acropolis. And then this palace was in place with the very first temple dedicated to Athena. When the older temple was made of stone and was between that and like this and that. There are ruins of the older temple. This must have occurred the 8th century BC when actually the people were conscious of the 12 gods religion. And when they appreciated the story that once upon a time Poseidon, the god of the sea, and Athena, the goddess of wisdom, claimed the possession of the city, they were asked to compete each other. They went right there where the building is. Poseidon took his trident, struck the rock, and produced seawater as a gift. And then Athena came and she planted the first olive tree in the world. You see an olive tree over there? There is an olive tree behind the people over there by the building. There is an olive tree right where Athena planted it, but I would never say that it's the old one. An archaeologist brought a seed from the Academy of Plato, planted the olive tree to commemorate of how gods and people sat in judgment and decided that the most beautiful gift was the olive. And that's why you're visiting Athena and you're not visiting Poseidonia. It would be the other way. So this was the mythological background, and this was also the moment that people are conscious of that, and they started the cult of Athena, absolutely, on the Acropolis. It's also the time that we can talk about the city-state, that is independent, self-administrated, self-sufficient. So I have to tell you that before the buildings that you're looking at, there were pre-buildings. It wasn't only the old temple, it was another one that we call Ekatombedos and another one that we call Archaic. Archaic comes from the word archi, that means the beginning of monumental art and political development and philosophical trends. It's the beginning of a lot of mathematics, of geometry, of everything. So the older buildings were destroyed by the Persians, who invaded the early 5th century BC. We kept talking about that. And it was the new generation after the invasion of the Persians that had all the preconditions, and I mean political, economical, psychological, philosophical, social preconditions to lead to the decision to build the buildings that you are looking at. The name to remember is Pericles. He was talented enough to persuade the Athenians to dedicate their money just to build the buildings that you're looking at, so that they would leave a memory of the golden age. That's the 5th century BC. So 447 the Parthenon, 437 BC the Propylaea, 427 BC the Temple of Nike, and 421 would be this. Another one below, 440, 444 the Temple of Poseidon, and one more temple was dedicated to justice. Within 30 years the whole project was completed. It took them 9 years to build this building and another 6 for the sculpture decoration on top. You know how long I follow this restoration? Forever.
All your life.
No, actually, okay, the last 30 years I'm looking what they're doing. So it takes forever to restore, that's what I'm saying. Now, I may tell you that the way you see the buildings nowadays is after a long way, and lots of reasons. And I'll make this long story short just by reminding you that the conflict between Athena and Sparta, this comes to a decline, the whole thing, the Greek civilization. And then at least the power of Athens, actually. So Alexander the Great is next, and then the Romans conquered Greece, but they never captured Greece. They were so charmed by the Greek civilization. And they were using this as a temple dedicated to Minerva, that's the Roman name of Athena. And then after the Romans, who is next? The Byzantines, by Byzantium. That is a Greek and Christian. Oh my God, that was a disaster, because the early Christians were fanatically, you heard that again, against everything that reminded the old paganistic religion. And yes, the Parthenon was converted into a church. And then the Westerns are fighting, the Crusaders are around, so the Parthenon is converted into a Catholic church. Excuse me.
Of course.
And yes, the Ottomans established themselves in Constantinople in 1453, in 1464 they were in Athens, and the Parthenon was converted into a mosque. You see what I mean? All these conversions maintained the buildings. The worst was yet to come. The worst was in 1687, when a guy whose name was Francesco Morosini bombed the Parthenon while they were using it as an ammunition storage. I'm talking about a terrible explosion that was reported with paintings, no cameras then, but we know exactly what has happened. The roof collapsed, the walls collapsed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pillars collapsed. And yes, a part of the entablature also was destroyed. That was in 1687. And the very last adventure is in 1800s when Thomas Bruce, that's another name to remember, the Lord of Elgin from England, he came, the Ottoman authorities were around, and he said, "Can I take the statues?" And the answer was yes. He started systematically removing the statues of the entablature of the Parthenon. He even took one of the ladies over there. Did you see the ladies? He got them all the way to the port, loaded them in 16 ships, and carried them all the way to England. They stayed in his property for about 10 years, and then the guy got sick, so he, I say the curse of Athena fell upon him. So he asked £35,000, as much as he had spent from the English government, to give them to England. So that's how they found their way to the National British Museum, which is your next destination. Your next destination is actually the new Acropolis Museum, which we're doing, because that's where the pieces that escaped the eye of Thomas Bruce are. But then you will see the copies of so many pieces that are in England. Okay? That was in the 1800s. 1821, the War of Independence. By 1829, a newly created nation, modern Greece. 1834, Athena is proclaimed to be the capital. Panagiotis Kavadias is the archaeologist who cleared all the later additions, and they started restoring. You know which restoration is this one? The 9th. 9 times. The restorations have taken 9 times. And you know what they do now? They correct the mistakes of the previous restoration. Okay. I'd like to describe the building, and then I'll tell you what they do. Look at the Parthenon. It is a rectangular building. Imagine a building, there were walls there. The entrance was east, and we would have a building that was divided into 3 parts. Pronaos east, cella right in the middle, inner sanctuary west. And then you can see that there are pillars there, so we have a prostasis, but we also have the wing, we call it. It's called peripteros. Ptero is the wing. And that is to make the people feel that it's not heavy, to give the impression that it's a light structure. Okay? So what do we see? We see 8 pillars at each end and 17 pillars at each long side. It is double 816 plus 117. So it's always a ratio 9 to 4. Double 4, 8 plus 1, 9. We have this ratio in every part of the building. The ratio has to do with the length and the width, 9 to 4. It has to do with the height and the distance of the pillars. It has to do with the distance from the middle of the pillar to the very height of the pillars themselves. It's a 9 to 4. Mathematicians and scientists and engineers and architects are studying the building to see how they built it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the pillars support this that we call the entablature. If you see up there in the corner, you see 3 lines and then a piece of marble, and it looks like a horseman. Can you see the horseman behind the scaffolding? Hardly, because it's destroyed. So I'm telling you that the entablature is triglyph metope, triglyph metope, triglyph metope, 3 lines and then a piece where the relief decoration was. I'm not going to tell you much about it. That's what we're going to see in the museum. But I'm telling you already that there were 92 metopes, and then on top of the short side we always have the pediment where the all-round statues would have been. Okay? So that is on this side we have the competition between Athena and Poseidon, and on the other side the birth of Athena from the head of Zeus. Thank God they have a miniature representation of the pediments in the museum, and we will see also that. And plus this, on top of the inner walls there was a frieze running, and we will also see that in the museum. Many pieces escaped the eye of Thomas Bruce, and they're there, okay? And copies of the ones that are in London. So it's a simple building, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a simple building. Okay, listen to me. I think that it's about time we should start moving a little bit. I think it's a good time to walk a little bit towards to the east, so that we can have a better view of the building before I talk about the reasons that it is a masterpiece. Is that all right?
Yes.
Shall we go? Will you please watch your steps till we get to that safe surface? Thank you very much.
Oh.
To be on the safe side, that the wall will stop. The erect here wouldn't be as high as the Parthenon, but it would be beautiful. And that's why they bothered to do this interesting this architecture to realize the ionic pillars, the caryatides, different roofs, lots of details. I'm inviting you to step down here. So we're moving out of the way, just over here, over there. Stay away from the rocks, because it's slippery, but we can do the dirt here. Or if you decide to sit down, that would be safer. Is that right? Just let me move out of the way. And I'm talking about this building that is so beautiful. Now the ladies that you see there are the maidens, but they say, and we call them the caryatides, all right? They would be women also that were participating in a dance carrying a basket on their head. I'm always talking about those ladies, and now I'm going to disappoint you to tell you that these ladies are not the originals. They're copies. They are copies, but they're excellent copies. They were replaced in 1979 when this restoration finished. And can you see the new piece and the old piece? Can you see the dark material is the old, and then the lighter is the new. It's turning yellow already. I'm saying that because if you turn around, you will see that this is all white pieces, the new pieces, okay? So in 1979, the caryatides were replaced with those excellent copies. 5 of the originals are in the new Acropolis Museum, and guess where the other one is? In London, in London. One of them is in London, all right. So, now what do we see? We see mountain parks, we see the hill of Lycabettus, and in the distance, we can see another mountain. Can you see a mountain behind the hill? That's Mountain Pentelli, and that's where you may imagine that the quarries would have been. Imagine that they would carry the marble all the way from Pentelli, I mean with chariots and horses and sleepways, and then I want you to turn around, look at the Parthenon, and use your imagination again. They would carve every single piece to take one and only position. I'm telling you simply that there is not a single piece, a single drum of the pillars, or a piece of the entablature, or part of the stylobate, or part of the wall that is equal with the other. Why is that? Because of the use of refinements that I would say fell into 2 categories. The use of the curvature and the use of inclination. That means that every part of the temple that you see horizontal carves a little bit, and every part of the temple that you see vertically inclines. If we would extend the pillars, believe it or not, they would make a pyramid.
Oh, yeah.
So imagine now what sort of mathematics and what kind of geometry and what kind of technical knowledge was required to realize that in practice 2,500 years ago. They did that because they knew that there are no straight lines in the natural environment. So they avoided straight lines because straight lines would also create optical illusions, errors of the human eye. They corrected every possible optical error. You see what I mean? There is a bulging in the middle of every pillar, otherwise you would think that the pillars are suffering from the weight of the superstructure. So there is harmony. Harmos is the joint. You know what is the joint between the pieces? It's 1/10 of a millimeter. and symmetry. I'm using Greek words in the English vocabulary, on the building. So this is what makes the Parthenon a masterpiece, and much more, which I'm not going to tell you because I'm not a mathematician. All right? And if you're wondering why they bothered, it's because they decided to capture the world with the ideas of material. They decided to reflect on marble the idea of a perfect society. We will see this society at the museum on the frieze. And that's where I'm going to tell you why they bothered again and why we bothered to restore. So this restoration, the ninth restoration, corrects the mistakes of the previous restoration. One thing that they do is to replace cement, concrete with brand new marble. I do remember when they dismantled those pillars and rebuilt them, replacing the concrete with brand new marble that you see, and they also replaced iron. My God, they used iron rust when it rains. So they replaced iron with titanium. Every drum has a hole in the middle, and that would be locked one with the other by means of lead and wood in antiquity. Then they used iron. So now they're replacing it with titanium. And the worst mistake of previous restorations is that when they were finding a piece that was damaged, they would put it upside down to look nice. And they would misplace it. So misplacement was a disaster. The building was falling apart. So they have to put every single piece in the right position, and I'm happy to tell you that 1,000 pieces have been identified around the rock, and they're going to be back. But it takes a while, and I don't complain about the scaffolding and the crane that spoils the atmosphere, because this is very, very important. It's a miraculous restoration. All right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the entrance was east.
I got great shots of that when I was standing up on the hill over there.
Okay.
So how many years for the 9 restorations?
Oh, it's been over 50 years that they started doing it. But they started way back
Well, I'll ask her.
before, yeah.
You might make something up.
Yeah.
I've been in Parthenon one and only time. I was crying. With a special group of university from the States, they said they're going to open the Parthenon for you. I said, what? And I was in there crying. So, in there stood the golden ivory statue of Athena that was 12 meters. The bird parts were made of ivory, and the rest was covered with gold. I'm talking about Athena holding Nike with the right hand, her shield, her spear, Pegasus horses on her head. Yes, it was a masterpiece. It was 36 feet. Can you imagine? 36 feet. And I'm so sorry to tell you that you're not going to see the statue, because I'm afraid the statue was dismantled. It was taken to Constantinople, which was the capital of the Byzantine Empire, and believe it or not, it was melted. It's gone. It's gone. The golden ivory statue of Athena has disappeared. You will see a representation in the museum if you just to help you visualize that.
It's really
sad.
So with this statement, it's not a very happy one, but that's what it is. Let me tell you that you see now, this is without scaffolding. It's a beautiful spot for pictures, but I will give you a tip for the best view of the Parthenon in just a minute. I'd like to say that those are copies of the statues of the pediment up there. We will see the originals in the museum. Clearly you see the triglyph metopic, triglyph metopic, triglyph metopic, and you follow it. Below, where you see the holes, it was Alexander the Great that put shields, if you're wondering, okay? And yes, the pillows are in an excellent state of preservation. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. Turn around. Let me tell you back. That is the old museum. Over there where the trees are, you can find the fountain. At the basement of the museum, you can find toilet facilities, in case you're looking. Okay? That's one thing. I highly recommend you to walk to the balcony because the view is fantastic to take pictures. And the best point of view of the Parthenon is actually, can you see that kiosk? Walk this way, turn to the left, and then when you get to that corner, look where I'm showing. Right next to that kiosk, you have the view of the short and the long side together. And that's a good spot for pictures.
Oh, that's good.
Is that all right?
Yes.
The 4 and a half.
Have you enjoyed my introduction?
Yes.
I hope I gave
Wow.
you the feeling. That's what I'm trying to do. Now listen to me, one more thing. The way to go down is the same way we came, or if you decide to walk this way, you can have an aerial view of the museum and the theater of Dionysus, and then you still find yourselves through the Propylaia. The only way is through the one gate, through the other gate, they will make you go down, and you're on the way to the exit. When you get to the exit, either me or David is going to be there with a sign to show you the way to the canteen. Because the meeting point is the canteen, and we leave in 45 minutes, take into consideration that you might need 10 minutes to go down. So that gives you about 35 minutes. Is that all right? Yeah. Is that enough? I will see you at 11 o'clock at the canteen. Thank you very, very much. David, is there something that you would like to say?
Fine. I've got to make sure I pick
If
the
you
lady
have
up
any
and
questions, I'll stay around for a while. So just feel free to ask questions.
How many years time span were the 9 renovations?
The first renovation was as soon as 1930s. So 1930s. Yes.
Okay. And this is the 9th renovation
This is
now?
the 9th,
Okay.
yes. So within 200 years, huh?
Okay.
Approximately, less than that.
So I was here in 1967.
Planning, sorry, to have the museum is going to be dedicated to the renovations.
Okay.
1967, you were here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what
7-day war.
these restorations here weren't here.
In 1967, no, nothing. This was it was an older restoration. It was the 8th.
Number 8. Thank you. That's perfect.
You're welcome.
She made my day. You make my day every day. You were so good.
Thank you very much.
No, we got
Can I get a
we
picture
still
you
got
with
the
Larry?
museum
I'm
to
glad you made the day.
You want me to?
Hey.
You made my day as well.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I was only 11 years
I want to
old.
get you too.
You know how much an 11-year-old
fine.
can remember.
I'll do it. Yeah, I know how to do it, but it just takes so fiddly.
Thank you so much.
One more for an encore.
Fantastic.
One more for an
Okay, you
encore.
want your own time, you guys? Let's get one too.
I can still be a star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on. On the ship. Okay, thank you so much.
Chose the right person. Thank you. We've done something together. Good.
Gotcha, I took a couple.
She's a rock star. Better than a rock star.
I can still be a star. That's what I said.
What are they called?
Drums.
Yeah, not just not for us.
Come on, David.
Show me some face. I want the good parts.
I'm so used to getting masked all the time.
Well, taking a picture of my lens cap for 5 minutes. Beautiful. Fantastic. Well, yes, it is. I've done that too. Oh boy. That's why I gotta have a 360 camera, because it's too hard for me to frame something. Who knows what's the best angle? It's kind of like a Japanese or Chinese GoPro. Some people have heard of GoPros for jumping off cliffs or whatever they like to do. And but this is 360. Man. I can see the sky. I can see your toe. You know, don't get nervous.
Good luck with that.
Where do you want the shade?
Right?
Well,
I actually need a little
puppet is
light
down
right now.
here.
I know. Oh, there we go. Now we have the sun. You'll have to choose from. Don't worry. Okay, for left, right. Flag is covering the center.
Okay.
What a mob.
19th century. We wanted to show to the people, the Europeans, the Westerners, that we are the true ancestors of Greeks. So,
Alia, rapproche-toi, je vais faire une photo. Alia. Alia, rapproche-toi. Je suis trop en train de faire des photos. Viens ici, là. Un peu plus à droite. Regarde-moi. Coucou. Tu veux qu'on se mette tous les deux là? Ok, parce que là, cette photo-là.
che facevano parte del complesso della realtà.
Start somewhere.
Ah, ya sé, ¿no?
Oh, you know.
Good. Now, can all of you see your hill?
Yes.
Can you see a mountain?
Allá, mira dónde está la bandera, sí. Y de aquí para acá.
Would you mind taking a picture of us, please? Then if you like, you can take it on YouTube. Yes,
Un origen
Se ve la
40 minutos sin tráfico.
como vivir
Hi there. We found your wife. She's right here. So we'll just
How
wait
far
a
away?
minute. She's coming back up.
She went down? Oh.
No, she's right there. She was looking for you.
Well, she knows she doesn't want to hear my stories 10 times, and I don't want to listen to hers. You know, because she can really tell a story. So I just go off and explore it.
Yeah.
She doesn't like my fish stories either.
She doesn't what?
Like my fish stories.
Your fish?
Or whatever,
Are
you know.
you a fisherman?
No, but she really goes into detail. I'm not a detail guy. And she's like, she should write a novel, you know, very descriptive. And I've heard it all.
Well, I know that's kind of like my husband too. I've heard that.
Well, any
When you have
married
people
couple,
over
we've heard
for
it.
dinner, it's like, oh yeah, I've heard that story. Oh yeah, I've heard that story.
And I gotta stay, and you know you're gonna have to stay for another 20 minutes. So I figured I have plenty of time.
Yeah, you do.
Oops, sorry.
So what? Now, is this a recorder?
Yeah, it's a.
Taking it down and redoing it.
Well, career opportunity, you know, it's kind of like construction in the U.S.
Yeah, that's true.
That happens in all restorations, though. They think they're doing the best job possible. Whoops, my.
We gotta wait in this line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to be with her. That's all I know.
Good job, Elroy.
Yeah.
Ah, no, we have to wait.
I'm trying to get out of the doghouse. I'm just being a guy, talking like it's
I'm always
like our wives are here.
That's where one of my favorite friends is. We have a dog. I'm in good company.
Our dog, I'm just hoping he doesn't cry.
Ours is getting up there. She was 12 in April.
What kind is she?
Golden Retriever.
Oh, I love them. They're so
So are they metering people? Or is it just...
Yeah, you have to go through the gate.
to control
Oh,
so
a
people
gate.
aren't running into each other. And
Well, that's working.
steps are going down now.
Sí, pero ellos tienen su, parece que por, ¿sabes? Para que no haya discriminación ni nada de eso. Cuidado que me caigo.
Do not touch the marble. Oh.
Venga. Este fue aquí, el tipo dijo,
Can I touch the concrete?
no,
The restored part? No.
don't touch. Estaba un poquito fuera para acá. Oíste, necesito un poquito fuera para acá.
Isn't that amazing, the new marble?
Most amazing thing I've ever seen.
No, but look at this one. That's kind of scary.
Eso es nuevo.
They meant to do that.
No, porque ese para que tú notes la diferencia de cómo se
That's
veía.
part of the mathematical
Así era
equation.
cuando era
Kind
nuevo.
of scary, isn't it?
Así era, pero
That looks like
cuando
it's
era
gonna
nuevo
fall.
era así, porque él es amarillo,
Yeah,
él es
that's-
blanco.
and then
Pero
look
con
at
el
the
tiempo se ha
beautiful
puesto
movements
amarillo.
up there.
Pero en realidad él era así, nuevo. ¿Entendiste? Cuando este se fabricó todo era blanquito como un poco, pero se ha quemado con el sol. ¿Entendiste? Por eso es que te ponen eso, a ver, tú no te cómo es ¿No ves? Así era blanquito todo, pero se ha puesto
I'm with you, honey. I'm with you.
I'm sorry, I just don't want to lose you.
Well, there was a time when you were kind of hoping maybe you would.
No.
Oh. How I lost my husband at the park in Acropolis without Yanni.
This feels good.
Yeah. I didn't do my inhaler today. Like I'm a little snotty.
From now on, the road trips, you need to put your cap on.
Yes, mother.
I'm glad that one lady didn't come up. I think she really wore herself out trying to get at the other
I'm
place.
sure you want it
Poor
so
thing.
bad,
I
but
know.
our bodies say, no,
Yeah.
maybe not.
You want to hold on to my shoulders?
No. Would break my concentration. It takes a lot of concentration for me to go down. All right. Sounds good.
I'm good. I don't need it on the way down.
Yeah. We're opposites. I think these shoes have a little more sole support than the other Skechers that are more slipper-like.
Well, is that a good thing?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, and the other one should too.
It's like the same reason you'd want hiking boots instead of tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you need more.
Yep.
Look at that guy. Oh, keep thinking my...
One goes way down.
Yes, I'm looking. I don't ever take my eyes off of the floor.
With the actor, it's the actor, but
I like this. Stand up and post. Usually it's just because they just call it like 0. That's the point.
and when you have say the area like
Yeah, I bet they didn't have all this one. It's really nice.
Slanted.
It's really. Oh, I hear Maria.
I suppose we're late again.
Quand elle monte dans son taxi, qu'elle arrive, on arrive au bout.
I can see Maria up there, straight ahead.
I'm just watching you.
Okay,
You watch everything else.
it's okay. Scott's tall, he can see above us all.
Uh-oh. Where'd she go?
That was the Viking.
I almost went ahead of you.
Follow me.
Oops. It's that guy again.
Yeah, that's good.
Yay!
We're good little kids. We're good little kids. We're down here.
Okay. We're gathering over there. I think we're the last ones. Effie.
We're the last ones, she said.
One thing about walking around it is something else.
This our group?
Yeah, we were the last ones.
David, everybody's here. Everybody's here.
We were last
So,
again.
That's why we were looking for you.
Have you enjoyed the visit of the Acropolis?
We were scattered around.
I hope you did. Okay, let's do the same way and avoid the steps. Going down is even more dangerous. Go this way.
Oh no! I usually follow her, but I'll follow you.
Yeah.
We'll go to 8. Goes this road. I know her.
Yeah, see, I don't even feel it.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
From there. Oh,
I see that.
Oh, she's going on. She wants us to go over to this side. But look.
We get to the bottom if you don't see us.
As long as I can hear, I know I'm in the right place. Yeah, that's small, very small. The air country per minute, the exit travel, 24 minutes. Illegal alien a lot.
I have one mission, man.
这边也是一样。这是观光客。他已经讲了，难民很多。
I know, I'm just
Oops.
But as Jeff mentioned, because we had a lot of battles with
Well, and you have most of the reservations there. And you can see what they live from an you know.
I can hear the Godfather music.
This is one way to get to the top.
I bet that cost extra.
Pays big bucks to get a taxi up here.
You should have like a golf cart or something.
Just one wrong step, and I hope nobody fell or. I hadn't had my bad hip so much. Oh no, I felt so sorry for the one lady that couldn't make it, but thank God she didn't. But I held her hand.
That survived.
Right. Well, I'm good going up, but Richard's pretty bad going down. So I'm better going down. I do too. I do too. I think it's Richard's peripheral vision going down with the one eye. Yeah, well, we both have the same thing going with both. Oh, that's really.
What?
Right after my son.
This way, guys. This way to the left.
Oh, Mary, she said that way.
Oh.
Where we're going. We've got an old. This used to be a road here, right? And they turned this first one. When I first came, drop off and get up and go up to the Acropolis.
That's how I went up.
Hey, property law.
That's Bobby time.
Look at the road here. On the road.
And it's just carried on to the end of the road where it will be the
Hey.
statue of Melina Masuri. Agricultural mixture. And that's where we're picking back up.
That was Yanni.
Εκεί που ανεβαίνουν για Ακρόπολη, το κεντρικό δρόμο της Ακροπόλεως. Είναι οι τουαλέτες που είναι η καφετέρια ο Διόνυσος.
Bovenaf eerste rang. Een paar te rellen. Een beetje slopen. Wel beter. Grote demonstratie en een paar die ellende komen. S'avonds laat werd de straat schoongespoten. Toen kwam het traangas weer los. Tweede, derde verdieping. Zat ik daar last van. Afval was er toen ik in de kamer kwam, was het niet opgeruimd. Dat was net een van de stiefjes. Compleet bedrijf is dat niet staan. Van zus zo laat en dan in die tijd prime minister omkleden.
Are we going to need a ticket again?
I might have, when I put it in my, take out my phone, I might have dropped it.
What's your car running? Look
Oh
at
no,
the
here it
car.
is. Oh no,
Then you know what? They're gonna come.
I don't have it.
She needs to stay with them. She doesn't need to get disconnected.
Round ones for the drainage, the square ones for the sewage. And yes, it's a city under the city. So, ladies and gentlemen, this way we are coming in. As we walk to the entrance, please remove your hats. That's one thing to do. And then the next thing to do is to put your purses and bags through the machine. And tell me something, do we have backpacks? Large backpacks are not allowed in the museum, so we need to leave them at the cloakroom. Yes. You know, until recently we had to show the vaccination cards. At least we don't do that anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. Done with this is sorry. This is the part of the gallery full of light, this window views and everything, and the view of the park. So simply, it is as if we climbed up on the scaffolding there. We go to the top of the pillar, and what are we looking at? We're looking at the entourage. We're looking at the metaphors without the triglifs, but the metaphors. We're looking at the pediment, which would be on top, but they brought it in front, and we're looking at the frieze of the Parthenon behind it. Remember, 92 metaphors. 92. Let me tell you now that's north of the division, the exhibition we brought back during the Helen. Let me tell you that west we would have the Amazons against the Greeks, that east was the giants against the gods, and that south we would have the centaurs, half horses, half men, against the Latins. That's the stories described on the metaphors. I remind you that we have the competition between Athena and Poseidon, like the pediment that we saw outside. But you see, it's quite disappointing the fact that many pieces are missing. And then on east we have the birth of Athena with the Verusians. Now, what you need to know to appreciate this and understand this is that every piece that looks dark underneath those two figures, okay? You see that? And then the frieze over there. Everything that looks dark is the original. And everything that looks white is a copy of the piece that is in London. And then everything that is missing is missing. It didn't survive. It didn't survive the conversions, it didn't survive the bombing, it didn't survive the adventures. It's missing. Okay? So this was the sculpture decoration of the Parthenon. And yes, this museum was built as an answer to the argument that we don't have a proper museum to house the statues if we ever get them back. So I'm telling you again that we do try to get back the statues from the National Museum. And there was this old museum that was 10 times smaller. They built this one. And yes, the Parthenon Gallery, when I first saw it, I said to myself, it couldn't be better. The plan is, if possible, to get it back and replace everything that is white to the other. Okay? That's the idea. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm inviting you to walk with me near the frieze, because the frieze is a creation of the supervisor of the whole project. His name was Phidias, and it is a masterpiece, as well as the statues, of course. But I want to show you
Oh. They should put a squeaky toy on that.
So what do we see? The frieze is actually a procession. I'm talking about the 12th day of the festival dedicated to Athena. This was the procession of the Athenians. Imagine that they would start from the gate of the city to walk repeatedly on the way to the Acropolis. Why? To bring the new dress of the statue of Athena. So the procession is described on the frieze that is 140 meters long, that is 1 meter is the height, and that the beginning is the southwestern corner, where a group of people is going this way, and a group of people and animals is going the other way. People and animals is always. So what? This looks like a horse race, doesn't it? It's actually horsemen who will participate in the procession, and they're preparing for that. And you see young men, older men, dressed naked. You see the horses. This is only 5 centimeters. Look at the perspective again. Look at the blood dropping, the tension on the horses, the tension on the people. And one of the most impressive actually scenes is I guess you will see it as we walk around. It's a horse that is trying to escape, and the horseman is trying to restrict it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the frieze of the Parthenon, I want to tell you, was the decision of Phidias and Pericles and the Athenians to describe on marble this society. It's introduced society below the arts.
I did not wet my pants. I sweat like a pig.
They are not lazy.
Okay.
They take care of the hangers. Sounds good, doesn't it? They are open-minded. They're not afraid of new ideas. Invite anyone to bring new ideas in their place. So that's what Phidias did. More than 50 artists.
If this was cotton, I would be soaking wet.
And that's the best preserved part of the freeze of life. Escape the article. Well, a number of them are white. You see, a number of pieces that are more visual that you have the figure there, who's white. Most to be removed. These are one carry the police people heavy. So they actually detached only the scouted surface. They used iron claws to detach. They exploited the natural cracks of the marble. And this piece is in London. The detachment of the figure is what it's going to show. But it's interesting that right behind you here is the level. It's the piece that remained of Greece, and it's in the museum. So until the 18th century, this was exhibited. It was Thomas Bruce who decided to do what is described over there in the video. During the summer, 1803, Engine Steam. Very, very simple. That's what they did. So, ladies and gentlemen, please come and have another seat here. Notice that now south. This is the south part of the Parthenon. And the metal is described an interesting story about people who were called Lapiths, and they decided to have a party, which is essentially the wedding reception.
Oh, here. Sit on my lap.
Divided the senators, half horses, half men, got completely drunk and decided to grab the ladies. There is the center seat, and leave the party. And of course, they would never let the crew drive. So that's what the fight is about. It's the fight of the senators to the Lapiths, the second Roman. And as you see, there's always this VM. He stands for British. It looks that Thomas Bruce particularly enjoyed that, and he took everything away. Okay? Follow me. We walk to the east side. It's going to be a walk along the
Ένα μέρος είναι αθλητικά. Λοιπόν, αυτός ήθελε να πάρει τα πάθη. Έτσι δεν
Cynical from an Athena that has just been born full armor, it's a proto-war. That's how it is in the Pegasus. I'm talking about this. Have to come here to see it. And then the end of the frieze, overlapping on both sides, is the boy that gives the beast a cloak. Give it a new dress for the Statue of Liberty. So, having seen the Parthenon, and now having seen the statues that are decorated in the Parthenon, you can take one bronze masterpiece. These are two copies of bronze of Athena and of Aphrodite and Hermione. You can take now one and recover the first two. I am not going to show you any statues about Acropolis. They will always be in this museum from one time all the way to the what do you think? Amazing? If you're ready, you may proceed. Go back, use the escalator again, and go to the lower level where the original diagram are. The one at the bottom, the very dirty, because of duration of 1970s. 1970s were small on top of the small. And they did that, I do remember, the museum, by the way, opened in 2009, and still it was and I remember for years they were cleaning the caryatides. They came right on time to see them nice and clean.
Oh.
Oh, no, I'm back down there.
And yes, they have an extra bell to be strong. And if you want to know that the brace was nothing but a brilliant solution to reinforce the neck, that would be the weakest part of the body. Because those were women that were supporting the weight of the superstructure. And even if they did that, they seemed to be so happy, so full of grace, so as if they don't care at all, right? So this caryatide.
Whoa! No video? Where is she?
Smile disappeared in the early century. See? So where is the dog? The statues were smiling, but for a long time. The ladies of the Acropolis, like reducing holes in the arms,
You can't take pictures in here.
of another
Not even video.
We may see
Okay.
plasticity.
How you doing?
I think this mask that I saw for the first time in this museum open is full of life, isn't it? Look at that. So they would dedicate a marble or clay, the body part that would be problematic, would have the health problem. As slippery as the god. There is a piece over here where we see in relief medical instruments, proving that maybe it was the religious feeling. If you please come all around, but at some point they were using those knives. They were using surgical instruments. Those are suction cups. Do you know the suction cup?
Like the Chinese did.
Chinese did, the Greeks did.
Okay.
My aunt in the village of Crete used to do that all the time to
The
my
Greek
aunt.
taught
She had
the
a
Chinese everything.
Shape, Lutroforge. They were to carry water for the bride to bathe. It's about marriage in antiquity, which was a fundamental institution of the ancient Greek society. And yes, marriage would last for 3 days. There was a lot of music, celebration. The bride carried to the groom's house with chariots, musicians presenting the dowry, presenting the gifts. And that was described on the painting of the Lutroforge. The Lutroforge would be a funeral monument. At some point, a girl would pass away before getting married. It becomes a funeral monument. Those are two statues that the museum. And let's say, I hope I have everybody with me. I think I have everybody with me. It's almost 12:10. How much time do we need for the museum shop? Shall we say
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Half hour? No. Okay. We stick. Listen to me. Follow me outside and I'll tell you what. Stay with me for a minute. The meeting is at 12:25, so we leave at 12:30. Outside of the library, we can find some seats. Okay? I think that's a good idea. We can walk 12:25.
Just looked at books and stuff. We don't need to buy any.
Yeah, you're in charge.
Yeah, right outside.
Should we just go outside?
Well, you know me and Joey. I'm very excited.
Right?
I don't get it.
How do we get out of here?
Hmm? Oh, there she goes.
Settle.
Doesn't mean like they were saying, you know, all those this way. I mean, it's not
Rita, why are you walking on?
I found one. Do you want to sit with me?
I'm good.
Oh, you can always sit on my lap.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Shade, marble, or whatever.
What's your name?
It's doing okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're being polite. Yeah.
It's doing okay.
Why, you give him a lifetime supply of Advil? He's still thanking you.
She had it in her purse.
She does. She has it.
All right.
We've recovered our stash.
I'm gonna look right down in the ruins.
That sure looks nice down there.
Oh, I'm with you. Rocks. Have you ever seen rocks before? I lost my seat. I could sit on the ashtray. No, I am really good. I know I look terrible. How's my eye?
There's 3 on this cruise that have the same thing.
Well, I'm just saying, between the eye and my sweating, I did not piss my pants. I just sweat like crazy.
You're fine now. It's dry.
In the back?
It's all in the back.
Okay. Here.
It's dry.
I like that.
If you please forward.
Oh! Wow! I knew what I was doing. Ta-da! Ta-da!
Not the railing.
You know, if the stairs are even, I don't need a railing. Or pointed rocks, or who knows what comes your way. Wow. Have you ever seen such magnificent rocks?
Might be already there. Is everybody, David? Perfect.
Well, good. Whoa.
Hard to believe such a historic site will land on
Oh my heavens. It is. It is. It's just...
A Greek tourist. They know everything.
David was saying each story up, they started about 2,000 on the bottom. Each story goes through 2,000. Take those stairs.
I'm the turtle. My wife is the chipmunk. Yeah, she's quick. I'm slow.
Remember the quarters in the hand, right? Just down.
Yes. That doesn't mean I always win.
Well, we don't want to jerk because we got to throw away stuff. We don't want to do it.
Oh my God. No. I donated a whole lot. Found some nieces and nephews that wanted something, so. But I still am hurt with a lot of sentiment to it. Books, pictures, photos.
We don't move 600 firewood. We just don't move any young oil.
What you work for?
Shell.
I understand, but nothing goes like
Want to make sure I'm in the right crowd.
Right. We don't want to lose you.
Oh, yes, we did. We ended up walking 6.5 miles. We were, but it was fun. It was great. We had a great day. But I heard about the food one that after you guys left, I go, oh wow, that would have interested me. Yeah. Got it. Oh, wow. Oh, my. Yesterday, starting at 4.
Oh, so this is like a city street? And I keep thinking I'm in Disneyland. This isn't real, right? There's another restoration project.
Look at all the different nuts.
That's not our bus. Could jump on and see where we go. I always park my motorcycle in the shade. So that's like a streetcar, hop on, hop off.
No, it's a tour bus.
But only
Tour bus, and they have an upstairs up outside.
I seen it. Yeah.
It says that on the side, official tour bus.
Oh, wonder how many idiots like me just try to hop on.